All right, shalom, shalom. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. All right, double honors to our apostles and elder bishops here at Great Millstone. Shalom to you, Akim. Name of this lesson is The Heathen Shall Bear Their Shame. The heathen shall bear their shame. Okay? It's funny how these individuals, come up with something so, and I'm speaking on Genesis, those two guys, Hakan and Hassan. All right. It's funny how they just, now they want to come out with this doctrine that all the heathen can be saved. All right. Truth of the matter is, you know, the scriptures say they shall wax worse and worse, and that's what we see. All right. But to kind of continue to, correct this false doctrine, all right, and to defend the true doctrine, right? We just bring out the truth, man. The question I want to pose is, how in the hell can they be saved and they haven't bear their shame? See, we Israelites had to go through that shame to understand the fullness of our transgressings of our youth. All right, to fully understand where we went wrong, and how hurtful it was to the Lord. And the heathen just get a pass. They just get salvation with us. I find that very, I find that very, unsound, I guess you could say. It makes no sense. We suffered at the hands of the heathen. Okay, yes, for our transgressions. All right, but they, as the scripture said, forwarded our affliction. Okay, and the Lord said he's angry at them. He's angry. All right. And so what? They don't get to drink the cup of the Lord's indignation. All right. They get a pass. I don't think so. All right. As here it says, Zechariah 1:15, it says, I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. They're at ease right now. They're living it up. And they have absolutely no regard for the Most High Yahweh Shai Shai or his people. And in fact, they taunt us, all right, in actuality, to get at the Most High Yahweh Shai, to taunt him as well. So they just get a pass on this one. Yeah, those guys really fumbled this one. They really look dumb now. As the scriptures say, we know they're gonna wax worse and worse. And that's the case. Scriptures being fulfilled concerning those who are false teachers. Okay. But we know that they not gonna get no pass. All right. We had to suffer and learn from everything that we've been through. Everything. We had to bear that shame. Until this day, we bear that shame. Everywhere we go in the world, we're bearing that shame. We're in astonishment. Okay? And I'm going to show you in the scriptures, and I'm going to try not to be long, but the Lord said he punishes our enemies 1,000 times worse. So they're going to get it 1,000 times worse, and that's in Wisdom of Solomon 12. But the scriptures talk about, Babylon getting double for what she done, Yeah, man, but again, we kind of have to, understand that, this is the Lord's doing. Of course, you can be mad, you know, because we're zealous, but it is what it is, you know. This edification always comes out of, you know, rebuttaling or defending the stupidity of our people, and most likely it's a money grab, or you know, or they just, you know, sold out, whatever, you know. So the Lord said, well, I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they help forward the affliction. Okay. Therefore, thus said the Lord Yahweh, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. So the Lord is going to give Jerusalem mercies. Okay. My house shall be built in it, said the Lord Yahweh, power of hosts. Right. And we know it's that third temple. That house is it's a body of members, the elect. And and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Okay. Cry yet, saying, thus said the Lord Yahweh of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad. Yeah, the Lord's going to enlarge the tents. All right. And the Lord Yahweh shall yet comfort Zion and shall yet choose Jerusalem. Right. So he's going to comfort us, and he's going to choose his people. Okay. Let me read verse 15 in the NLT. Right. And then we're going to keep moving. Okay. But I am very angry with the other nations that are now enjoying peace and security. I was only a little angry with my people, but the nations inflicted harm on them far beyond my intention. So what are you saying? Nothing's going to happen to them. They're just going to get salvation. Right. And mind you, the Lord didn't just punish a few individuals. He punished us as a whole nation. So how much more these heathen nations, all right, who were made to be in subjection to us, to be subject to us, who were created, all right, to be under us, all right. You know, these guys just don't make any type of sense, all right. And the more you try to wrap your hand around it, you just wasting your time, you know. We just got to understand it, you know, it's the Lord's doing. Okay. So let's see here. Where do I want to go next? Oh, Daniel. All right, Salaki. I'm trying to find Daniel. I thought I had it up. All right. But I'm going to start at Daniel 9. And I'm kind of. Let's go to 8. O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. Okay. To the Lord, and the confusion of face is the shame that we had to bear. All right. The guilt. All right. The deep, deep guilt. Okay. Till this day. No matter where we go in the world, we got to face that shame when we look at these nations, and, you know, they frown upon us, and they you know, we're a proverb and a byword among them. They mock at us. They got us in derision all the day long. You know, they've done things to us to sabotage our, our lives, our, you know, economically, you name it. Right? They got us looking like fools to the world, you know. But I guess they just gonna be forgiven, and and they get salvation along with us. Right? It don't make sense. Okay, they don't have to learn from anything that they've done. And let me tell you, they're going to learn a brutal lesson, because we had to learn it. Okay, the whole point of this captivity is a learning, and it's it's a deep a deep lash on our spirits, on our souls, man. And you think they just gonna get a free ride? You know, we gotta endure all this evil to understand the good that's coming. All right. But they've had good this whole time. All right. And they don't get to learn from the evil that they've done and the harshness that they put on us. No, man, those dudes are out of their mind. The more you look into it. But anyway, Salaki, it said, to the Lord our God belong mercies and forgiveness. And forgiveness is, though we have rebelled against him, neither have we obeyed the voice of our Lord, Yahweh, our power to walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants, the prophets. Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him. And he hath confirmed his words, which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil, for under the whole heaven hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem. So there is telling you, they haven't even witnessed, all right, any evil on a level that we've witnessed. And we've been the Lord, his people, okay, the apple of his eye, he still judged us. He didn't give us no pardon. All right. I mean, in a sense, he is pardoning us now by his grace. And of course, Yahushua dying and the spilling of his blood, which is open us up to life eternal. Okay. But in order for us to even to get to that point, to the kingdom, from where we are now to the kingdom, that was a great sacrifice. So they ain't got to sacrifice nothing. They just get salvation. Right? And you out of your mind, man. As it is written in the law of Moses, all this evil has come upon us, yet may we not our prayer before the Lord our God. Now, I mean, of course, now we are, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand thy truth. See, that's what it's all about, understanding the Lord's truth. And that's what we have to go through, all of this, the evils, so that we could understand that truth. All right. It says, therefore had the Lord Yahweh watched upon the evil and brought it upon us. For the Lord Yahweh our power is righteous in all his works, which he doeth, for we obeyed not his voice. Okay. And now the heathen turned up. They're turning up their noses at the Lord. They're lifting up their heads against him. They're, devising all of these evils against him and his people. All right. That as the scriptures say, why do the heathen rage and imagine a vain thing? The Lord is laughing at them now. Okay. But now they're set against the Most High. So they just get a pass. The Lord ain't going to deal with them. The Lord ain't going to show his strength. He's not going to show them fully, in full detail. All right. Where they went off. He did it to us. It would only be fair if they understood like we understand now. Jeremiah 49:10, but I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. Because Esau is at the forefront of the oppression and the hatred towards the Lord's people and the Lord himself. Okay. So to hide himself, his seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children. I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. That's dealing with Israel. Okay. The scholars say that's dealing with Esau. It's not. Okay. All right. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh power. Behold, they whose judgment, I should just cut to the chase. It says, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunk it. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. So they got to drink of the indignation of the Lord, starting with Esau, Edom. All right. Okay. all, I believe, 17 nations in the world. They're going to have to deal with it. You know, now that there's certain nations like Japhet, all right, who aren't actively oppressing us, all right, but they mock us to a certain level, all right. There's other nations that ain't, actively oppressing us, but they mock us. They're clapping their hands, okay. And guess what? They're all guilty by association because ain't nobody coming to check on us, as the scriptures say, you know, who come to see how thou doest. Ain't nobody checking on us, man. You know, so guess what's gonna happen? They all gonna have to feel the wrath and judgment of the Lord, and they're gonna know, all right, that the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, all right, is God. Okay, He's the God of Israel. Okay, here, let's see. Isaiah 34:1, it says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear and hearken, ye people." Right? And our job is what? To prophesy. Okay? And that's how this message is getting out there. We're actively telling them what the Lord is about to do. All right? Step by step. So it says, "Ye people that let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation," right, the righteous anger of the Lord, his wrath, all right, "of the Lord is upon all nations," okay, "and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter." Okay, because just like in past time, he's done it in past time, and he's going to do it in the future, in the very near future. All right. Okay, so what? So the Lord has indignation, all right, upon all nations. Okay, even the 2/3 of our nation, because the Lord's going to address them as well. All right, so somehow they're going to escape? No, impossible. All right. Ezekiel 36:6, it's prophesied therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains and to the hills and to the rivers and to the valleys, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, all right, power, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. Right, so the Lord is angry. Why? Because we had to endure, this shame, okay, this guilt, okay, this being the lowest, all right, of the low, okay, in the world. Okay, so the Lord is angry about that. Okay, and you think it's going all, Edom is going to get the brunt of it, but all the nations are going to feel his fury as well, because all these nations are proud. So where's that salvation? And let me tell you, being carted into slavery is not salvation. That's not salvation. Okay. Therefore, thus said the Lord Yahweh power, I have lifted up mine hand. Surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. Okay. They're going to bear their shame. Baruch 4:24, like as now the neighbors of Sion have seen your captivity, so shall they see shortly your salvation from our God, so they're going to see our salvation. It didn't say they were going to be saved among us. All right. And we know for the most part, okay, it's not, it's not hard. It's just, these people lose their minds when they hear, or they get a sliver, or somebody say, or make it possible or make it sound possible like the heathen could be saved. All right. It says, the Most High, which shall come upon you with great glory and brightness of the everlasting. Verse 25. My children, suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from God. For thine enemy hath persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shalt tread upon his neck. Right? So we're going to see their destruction and we're going to tread upon their necks. All right? And that's thus said the scripture, man. All right? Let me see. What's this? Oh yeah. 2 Thessalonians 1:6. And then, you know what? I went to chat too. You know, I had to ask chat. All right? To just go a little bit more in depth. All right? Give you a little bit more of that, some meat. So it says 2 Thessalonians 1:6, seeing it is a righteous thing with God to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. Okay? Yeah, everybody in the world, they can get payback for 9/11. They can get payback for the Holocaust. All right? But we can't get payback for the injuries that's been going on for centuries and hell, millennia. Okay? Because we were put into captivity under all people. America is just the last captivity. Okay? No different, but I mean this captivity is much different because they erased who we were. And they treated us less than human. And they justified it. And you think the Lord is not going to answer these people for what they've been doing? All right? Yeah, these people out their mind. Look at that. Baruch 4:26, my delicate ones have gone rough ways and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemy. So what do you think the Lord is going to do with those enemies? Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto the Most High, for ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. For as it was your mind to go astray from God, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. And that's what we're doing now. With faith. Okay? Because this Exodus requires faith. All right? Let's see here. I'll wait for that. Let's do this real quick. What does it mean that Israel hath borne the shame of the heathen? The phrase Israel hath borne the shame of the heathen appears in Ezekiel 36:6-7 and is echoed in other prophetic themes. Here's what it means in its biblical context and spirituality. Meaning of Israel hath borne the shame of the heathen. Israel suffered humiliation at the hands of the nations. Okay, borne the shame means Israel endured, or was loaded with the humiliation, mockery, and reproach of surrounding nations. When Israel was invaded, exiled, weakened, or judged by God, the surrounding nations, the heathen, i.e. Gentile nations, mocked them. They ridiculed Israel's downfall. They claimed Israel's God had abandoned them. They insulted Israel's identity and covenant with Yahweh. They looked on Israel's suffering with contempt. So contempt meaning despising. All right, they despise it. So contempt here, despise, dishonored. So and that's all too true. They look at us as dishonorable. Okay, we don't get no handicaps. We don't get no pat on the back. It's like, no, they kick us while we're down. All right. Number 2, it says that it recognizes Israel's past judgments. All right. Israel's shame came because of sin, of course, idolatry, injustice, and covenant breaking. God allowed foreign nations to conquer and humiliate them. And we fully understand now, that we had to pay for those things. And that's why we're quietly, and patiently waiting, enduring the chastening of the Lord. It says the Babylonian exile, the destruction of Jerusalem, the loss of land and sovereignty being scattered and dominated by Gentiles. They endured this shame under the eyes and taunts of the heathen nations. Right? The nations use Israel's fall to mock Israel's God. Right? And I'm guessing ain't nothing gonna happen to them, right? In ancient times, the nation's defeat was seen as proof their God was weak. And us bearing his name, we don't. I was about to inside joke. I ain't no weak Jew, right? No, but the Lord is not a weak power. All right. So you think he didn't bear the shame along with us? It was shameful, all right, and hurtful in his eyes that we, just like a man losing this woman, all right, and the love that he has for her. You think the Lord didn't feel any of that? All that's really been done is that the Lord has reciprocated that our actions, and we had to feel the same hurt that he felt, just like a man, when a man, when a woman walks out on her husband and the pain that ensues. Okay, that's all that really happened. And he's a God. Okay, so he doesn't feel like we feel. It's more amplified because he's a just power. The nations blasphemed Yahweh. They assumed idols were stronger. See? Right? So we bear his name and we bear shame. So you don't think that in some way it reflected on him and he don't feel no type. You can't tell me you don't feel no type of way about it. Right? That's why he gonna punish these heathen 1,000 times worse. All right. They assumed idols were stronger. They said Israel's God could not protect his people. And let me tell you, the Lord is big on protecting his people. That's why the scriptures say the vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. The scriptures say that he's a jealous power. Right? He's a vengeful God. And thank Yahweh Shai he is. Thus, the shame was not only political, it was spiritual. God promises to reverse the shame. Full context of Ezekiel 36 says that God will restore Israel. Israel will no longer be mocked. The nations will instead bear their own shame. God will vindicate his holy name. See, and he has to, because his name has been misused and abused, and the nations have been blaspheming his name. So you think he ain't gonna get no get back? You think they just gonna get salvation and learn nothing from what they've done? Come on, man. I have lifted up and we went into slavery, or we were punished as a nation as a whole. A nation as a whole, from the least to the greatest. And they get a pass? I have lifted up my hand. Surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. Ezekiel 36:7. So the shame is temporary, but God's restoration is final. All right. Spiritual application. The principle applies to God's people in any era. Sometimes the righteous suffer mockery. God may allow shame for correction or purification, and that's what's happening. All right. That's what this is about. Correction and purification. But he ultimately restores, vindicates, and reverses circumstances. And scriptures tell you that. All right. In summary, Israel hath borne the shame of the heathen, means Israel endured humiliation, taunts, and disgrace from surrounding nations. They suffered this because of judgment and exile. The heathen mocked both Israel and Israel's God. But the Most High promises to end Israel's shame and turn judgment back onto the nations. If you want, I can break down the Hebrew words, cross references, explain how this connects end time prophecy. Well, we ain't got to do all that. I mean, but that would be nice. But for now, Micah 5:15, and I will execute vengeance and anger and fury upon the heathen, such as they have not heard. Okay. Wisdom of Solomon 12:15, for so much, then as thou art righteous thyself, thou orders all things righteously, thinking it not agreeable with thy power to condemn him that hath not deserved to be punished. So the Lord is not going to condemn somebody or punish someone that don't deserve it. These nations deserve it, right? And how else they going to get in order? How else are they going to be? When you get a whooping, you don't just get your butt whooped and that's it. You got to learn the whole lesson for you not to do it again. So how is it salvation for the heathen if they ain't learned their lesson yet? All right. And yeah, let's continue. For thy power is the beginning of righteousness, and because thou art the Lord of all, it maketh thee to be gracious unto all. That's right. The Lord is gracious unto all. For when men will not believe that thou art of a full power, thou shewest thy strength, and among them that know it, thou makest their boldness manifest. All right. And it's going to come at a time where people think, you know, and that in the scripture say in Isaiah 45:15, I believe, that the Lord is one that hideth himself. So when people think that, you know, there's absolutely can't be a God, he's going to show his strength. It says, but thou mastering thy power, judges with equity, meaning fairness, and orders us with great favor. For thou mayest use power when thou wilt. Okay. But by such works hast thou taught thy people that the just man should be merciful, and hast made thy children to be of a good hope, that thou givest repentance for sins. Right. I mean, at some point in the future kingdom, we are going to show mercy. All right. But we going to kick ass first. All right. We going to kick ass first. And it's warranted. Okay. It's warranted. For if thou didst punish the enemies of thy children and the condemned to death with such deliberation, right? So it was well thought out. It was planned. It was ordered, right? Okay, giving them time and place whereby they might be delivered from their malice. And so the Lord gives time and place. Okay. With how great circumspection didst thou judge thine own sons, unto whose fathers thou hast sworn and made covenants of good promises. Right? So the Lord, it says, with how great circumspection didst thou judge thine own sons. Yeah, so he judged us, all right, with being able to, you know, balance everything out, okay, for lack of better words. All right. Well, he didn't let us pass in anything, okay. Therefore, whereas thou dost chasten us, thou scourgest, meaning punish, our enemies 1,000 times more, to the intent that when we judge, right, we should carefully think of thy goodness. And when we ourselves are judged, we should look for mercy. Okay. So there is going to come a time where the Lord's going to judge our enemies 1,000 times worse. All right. Or punish them. Because they ain't haven't been punished. They've been living at ease. Okay, they've been living at ease. All right. So again, how's that salvation? All right, that ain't salvation. If they gotta swallow that cup, and starting with Esau too, man. You know. Yep. Zechariah 2:8. It says, "For thus said the Lord Yahweh of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake mine hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. And ye shall know that the Lord Yahweh of hosts, meaning armies, hath sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day. All right, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee." Okay, and then many nations, of course, are the ones that scattered of his people, because the miracle here is that although Israel was exiled and scattered among the heathen to be lost forever, well, he's gathering all his seed up, and all his seed are mixed and mingled. All right, and we're going to see the righteousness of the Lord bring them all back together. That's the miracle. Okay, that's the promise. That's the prophecy. All right. So it says, "And thou shalt know that the Lord, all right, Yahweh of hosts, hath sent me unto thee, and the Lord shall inherit Judah, his portion, in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again." And Jerusalem represent the northern kingdom. Judah represent the southern. Jerusalem represent the northern. All right, be silent, all flesh, before the Lord Yahweh, for he is raised up out of his holy habitation. All right, this will be the last one right here. Okay. Zephaniah 3:16. "In that day it shall be said to Jerusalem, Fear thou not, and to Zion, let not thine hands be slack." Right? And that's now. We're being told to fear not right now, even though we're standing in the face of tyranny and evil. We're being told not to fear now, and let not thine hands be slack. I mean, we put in that work. This is the work. This is the Lord Yahweh, thy power in the midst of thee is mighty. He will save. He will rejoice over thee with joy. He will rest in his love. He will joy over thee with singing. I will gather them that are sorrowful for the solemn assembly, who are of thee, to whom the reproach of it was a burden. That's the elect. Both at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halted, okay, and gather her that was driven out. All right, and I will give them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. All right, so like, and at that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you, for I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth. Right, so as soon as the Lord come and get us, that's when we're gonna get praise and fame within the same hour. Right, when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, said the Lord, and we're gonna see our captivity be turned, and we're gonna know the Lord did it, because he's gonna show himself. Okay, so Lord willing, that was edifying. The heathen will definitely bear their shame. All right. But until next time, shalom.